On the flight over to New Zealand, I'd injured my funny bone, so I decided to go see a doctor.
Now, Mark, I'm afraid the problem is that you're an Australian. And at this stage, we don't have a cure for that. I'm afraid that it is something that you are just going to have to learn to live with. I realise this is a really difficult diagnosis for you. Are there any family or friends or people that we could get in to talk things through with you and help you adjust to it?
They're all Australian.
Are they? Well, I'm afraid you really are quite stuffed.
After receiving such a diagnosis, which feeds on the age-old rivalry between Australians and New Zealanders, I decided Maya would be a great person to interview for my Auckland story.
So the first place I normally take people when they arrive is to the top of Mount Eden. It's got amazing views of the city and it's a good place to just get your bearings and get an idea of the size of Auckland. I always take people to the French market because it's a place that I just absolutely love. It's got lots of really interesting different foods to try. It's a good place to get a feel for Aucklanders, but particularly I'm just in love with the danishes there. They come straight out of the oven, and particularly the blueberry and custard danishes are just incredible. So a coffee and a Danish and chatting with friends, if you can manage to find a seat, is a great way to spend a Saturday morning. You might feel like you're not allowed to be there if you don't have a designer stroller or a small dog, but so far we've managed to evade security. So to me, Auckland always feels like lots of little villages all clustered together. There's lots of great places to go see, but I've brought you here today to Mount Eden Village because it's my personal favourite. It's probably because I grew up here and I've seen it change so much over the years. But I think it's a great place just to come and chill out, have a coffee, and I'll take you to my favourite bookshop. So Auckland's got lots of really beautiful west coast beaches. They're all pretty rugged with black sand that burns your feet. And I brought you here today to Piha because it's probably the most popular one in Auckland. It's well known as a surfing beach, but I remember it more as a place we used to come when we were at school to make out in the sand dunes and check out the hot lifesavers. But today I think it's just a really lovely place to go for a walk and just to chill out in the sunshine. So I know that pretty much everything I've done with you today has been about eating, but I can't not take you to Mission Bay for fish and chips. I think this is the perfect way to finish a long, lazy summer day. Coming down here and there's tons of people and families listening to music and hanging out on the grass and the beach. And they do excellent fish and chips at the Fish Pot Cafe over the road. It's a great way to end a summer's day. So I love Auckland. It's such a dynamic city. I think it's a real melting pot of cultures and people. And it's kind of ironic that I'm here advocating for Auckland, because while I grew up here, when I finished school, I couldn't wait to leave. And now I've lived in many different places in New Zealand and overseas, and as I've travelled I've come to realise and appreciate just how much Auckland has to offer. And although it is the biggest city in New Zealand, it's huge without being overwhelming, I think. Every suburb still has that village atmosphere, and you have everything on your doorstep, all the benefits of a big city and easy access to the outdoors. So I've given you just a taste of a few things that I really like about Auckland, but there's so much more here to explore.
Whenever I start a new journey in a new country, I always find myself asking the same question: why do we travel? The great 18th century man of letters, Samuel Johnson, believed all travel has its advantages. If the passenger visits better countries, he may learn to improve his own, and if fortune carries him to worse, he may learn to enjoy it. For me, travel forces me out of my comfort zone. I have to actively seek out people willing to let me tell their story. But on another level, I hope to learn from them, and in the process better myself. In Maya, I met a woman of genuine compassion. As a doctor, daily she sees the epidemic of loneliness and depression that plagues modern society. In the true sense of charity, Maya has decided to take it upon herself to ensure no one in her neighbourhood is left lonely. She knocked on every door, sometimes bearing gifts, sometimes with nothing more than a kind word. Never was a door not opened. And so Auckland has made me reflect on my own compassion, how I treat my own family and community, and I must say I feel challenged. I think it is very easy living in a big city to not look out for one's neighbours. So this to me represents Auckland, the city with the village feel. From Auckland, I head north to the Bay of Islands. There are about 150 islands off this aquatic playground, and one of the most popular tours up here is to swim with dolphins. I've filmed human-dolphin interaction in Ireland, and it always amazes me that for creatures with large brains, they put up with us. I mean, we must really look pathetic flapping around en masse. The dolphins weren't too keen to hang around today, but apparently on certain days they will pick out individuals to play with, and particularly like swimming with pregnant women.
Now supposedly the dolphin, along with humans and monkeys, are the only animals on this planet that mate for pleasure. They do a lot of it as well. Very short and sweet there in the dolphin world, no such thing as monogamous relationship. But you think with all this mating going along there'd be a lot more baby dolphins than there are. But the female can actually control her ovulation, so she can decide when to release her eggs, basically determining when she wants to become pregnant.
The Bay of Islands is also a renowned fishing location.
One of the good things about the bay is there's always shelter. Even if they get a windy day, you're not going out through an entrance into the big wide ocean. You've always got islands and things you can hide behind, even in the worst sort of weather. So there's very few days you can't go fishing here.
If you're looking for those big photo opportunities of big fish, I always push middle of November to middle of December. If you're looking for fun, lots of very, very active fishing. It's around the March period when the kahawai come in. We're in 5 metres of water quite often, and we're getting snapper probably up to 5 kilos, and lots and lots and lots of kahawai. And it's good fun, pure fun. Just bring it over this way.
There were 2 things that I wanted to recommend that people do when they visit the Bay of Islands. One was to swim with the dolphins, a unique experience, and 2 was to visit the Waitangi Heritage Centre, where the treaty was signed between the Māori and the Europeans. I organised a film here yesterday. I've arrived today and I've been informed that they don't want me to film, that they don't need the publicity, which is very, very disappointing.
But there are other historical sites to visit. The Bay of Islands was the first place the English settled, and up the road at Kerikeri can be found the oldest stone building and the oldest wooden building, Camp House. I met up with a local Māori guy I'd previously met in Auckland. Tony Renata informed me that my troubles at Waitangi may be because the treaty is still a contentious issue with certain Māori tribes. Tony introduced me to a local elder, Papa Heihei, who explains the current situation.
When the treaty was signed, they translated it into English and it changed the whole meaning of the thing. So that's what they went away and got the rest of the tribes to sign, the southern tribes. And of course they've left Ngāpui to be the last big tribe within the process. And we're all dealing with that part of the process right now.
I met up with Tony at a local marae, which is a house of learning for the Māori. Tony explained to me the meaning behind 2 of the most visual of Māori traditions, tattoos and the nose-touching greeting.
Māori tā moko, especially the ones that I have on me, represent who I am, where I'm from, and my culture, because it's on me, and that's who I choose, in my life to be. The hongi is who we are spiritually, and when 2 people touch noses, it's the drawing in of the breath of the spirit, and enhancing our Māori, our life force. Generally a sense of our spirits greet each other in that way, and that's the joining of the 2, the life before and the life after and the life now.
Rotorua is one of New Zealand's major tourist destinations. Its main attractions are its geothermal activity and Māori culture. For over 200 years tourists have flocked to Rotorua, and it feels like it. the rotten egg smell of sulphur that fills the air isn't the only thing on the nose. Rotorua receives about 3 million visitors each year. It's touted as a must-see destination. And this is its problem. The tourist mafia expect the busloads to keep rolling in. It's become a tired old tourist town. Everyone just flipping the burger. Complacent. I knew I'd really have to scratch the surface to get a good story out of this tourist trap. So I did what I always do. I sought out a local. I met Belinda Bennett at a local gym, and she promised to take me to a secret location that only locals know about. So, Belinda, you're going to take me to a place that only the locals know about?
Yeah, I am, Mark. We've got a local spot where we go out for a swim in a mud pack. It is called The Secret, because we don't want all the tourists to know about it. But to get out there, we have to play by my rules.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we're going to play by my rules, let's go.
Okay.
Great, Mark. So let's start with closing your eyes. This is just a little bracelet you have to wear. Okay, can I just put your hands there? Okay, Mark, we just need you to stand up now. Okay, boys. Okay, Mark, here we are.
God.
How you going there?
Oh, gee, I hope this is good.
You're going to love it.
Oh, I hope so. Oh. Gee, you really want to keep this spot a secret, don't you?
We sure do, and you play our rules well.
Oh, gee, we're in the bush.
Belinda had taken me to this beautiful tea section in a river, where hot water came in from one section, interspersing with cold water from another.
That was the claw! That was a good claw! The claw!
She told me that the Rotorua area was traditionally a place of healing for the Māori people. I decided to look into this further and met up with local Māori masseuse, Wiki.
Traditional Māori healing is a combination of the body work, romiromi, which is the deeper body work, and miri, which is the more therapeutic massage, and our healing waters, which completes the process if you're lucky to live by our natural therapeutic waters, as we are in Rotorua, and the plants, the medicinal plants, which we also use in our cooking.
So here's a kawakawa bush, and I'm looking to pick the female leaves because they're the best medicinal leaves. See the ones with the holes in? It's a lovely leaf shaped like a heart. It's good for heart disease. It's a blood purifier when you make it into a tea. Some people bath in it. Especially in the old days, we use it as a poultice. And of course, we use it for our kawakawa oil. And it's the main ingredient in rongoa, traditional Māori medicine.
Romiromi is joint manipulation and deep tissue massage. We work on the cellular memory to release blocked energy. And I think the most important aspect of it is that it releases energy that doesn't belong to you. You know, that you could have accumulated through traumas, accidents, emotional things that have happened through your lifetime. And it can even be things that have been passed down through past lives, past generations. It can go down through many generations until it's acknowledged and addressed and let go of. So all those things can be stored in your cellular memory, in the bones, the ligaments, the blood.
"35% of Rotorua's population are Māori, and tourists have plenty of opportunity to watch numerous song and dance shows put on for their benefit. But if you want to experience the real deal, visit Te Puia, New Zealand's Māori Arts and Craft Institute. I was particularly taken by the National Carving School, where I asked first-year student Corey Masters what it means to him to practice this ancient art form.
It all starts with the passion, and that sort of burns inside of you, and you want to create carvings that look like you wanted to carve. You actually thought about it. There's meaning behind it. It's not just any old carving. Someone's going to be looking at it hundreds of years down the track, and he's going to be wondering why you done that. What's the story? But only you as the carver know the story, the true story of your carving.
Belinda told me that, like the geothermal activity bubbling up under the surface, Rotorua had an effect on people, raising issues to a head. At first I scoffed at this, but when Belinda asked me why I was travelling the world making my films, I realised my motivation had changed. No longer did I feel I was telling the stories of others, but searching for my own story instead. It dawned on me that after Rotorua, my films would never be the same. I next visited Wellington, New Zealand's capital of cool. A pleasant-sized city of just under 400,000, Wellington does seem to tick all the boxes with regard to what makes a city cool. University? Check. Compact city centre that supports a diverse art scene, cafe culture and nightlife? Check. A miserable winter climate, conducive with indoor artistic endeavours? Check. And although I'd missed the infamous unpleasant Wellington winds, I still felt the chill of a cold breeze rattling at the gates of my own filmmaking endeavours. I was bored with chasing down one person per location, and as often happens on the road, a messenger came to my rescue. I stayed with couch surfer Marcel Bayens, a teacher who had also tried his hand at filmmaking. Marcel gave me a sneak preview of the film he was editing. It documented his global journey, exploring his spirituality and sexuality. I mean, I look at some of your footage, and having sort of learnt the art of filmmaking and the language of filmmaking, I see some shots that are wobbly, that are overexposed, but there's this joy of just capturing the object, where sometimes it actually you capture it for so long and you're moving around it, or going around the object, and it becomes like art. It becomes like the image transforms. And I mean, I think for me, watching your film as someone who hasn't learnt filmmaking, you've captured the beauty of just like seeing things with childlike eyes, and it sort of opened my eyes up to, am I getting tired? Am I sticking to formula and not actually seeing things with fresh eyes?
I've learned how to set up shots and stuff like that in various shots, but that's not the script that I follow. I really go out there and attempt to connect through the lens with the objects that are in front of me, and explore them, and by really observing them from all sorts of angles, and really being with them, and I hope that will come across in the footage, whether it's technically correct footage or not. That is really what I set out to do. It's almost like a meditation, in a sense, and it's meditating on the objects in front of me, whether it's people or inanimate objects.
After seeing Marcel's film, I felt inspired to throw away the rulebook, to let the story find me, to be open to the moment. I took to the streets, approaching strangers, hoping to find the true essence of Wellington.
I love like the culture, the music. I just met here amazing people and I make so many friends. That's I just think I like it because of that.
What do we love about Wellington? We love the fact that we can go out like that.
Even if you're by yourself, you can sit down with a group of people and, unless you're a complete retard, be completely welcome. Yeah, it's an open city where everybody is interested in other people, and that comes through from the amount of friendliness that is easy to find on the street.
Wellington, it's a place you can fish anywhere in any weather, so we're pretty lucky and there's a lot of fish out there.
I just moved down here from Auckland this year and I think that the vibe is a lot nicer, like it's a lot more of a community. So, like, I was actually thinking this, like if I walked around dressed as a clown in Auckland, I'd probably get killed.
It's full of creative people, it's an arty place.
Yeah, good music scene.
A lot of young people as well.
Yeah, I'd say it's a student city almost, like, not students but like, you know, young entrepreneurs.
Chops is a art-based collective helping young up-and-coming artists promote themselves and get their art out there and their music. And also we run shows for both established and up-and-coming artists here.
I love Wellington because you know everyone on the street and it's got a really nice atmosphere. Like if you're a musician and you busk, you know, it's really welcoming, really open. And you kind of run into other buskers and you play along with them and it's just great. It's great fun.
The thing I love about Wellington is the ambience of the buses passing through Manners Mall and the blood on the pavement.
I make menswear, I hand sew everything, and I use the upcycle philosophy for all the garments because it's eco, it's green, and of course that's what New Zealand is about.
Upcycling is when you go beyond recycling, so it's not recycling. For example, the kilt that I'm wearing at the moment is actually a bag, a very large bag that's been opened out, wrapped around. This is part of the strap. And of course at the back you have very large pockets.
What I like about Wellington is I like all the farmers markets, like being able to rock down to a farmers market at like 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning with a couple bags. You fill them up with like strawberries, bananas, whatever, and it's like $20 and it would cost you like $50 at the supermarket and it's awesome. And that's what I like about Wellington.
Okay, so we're going into an art studio space, a creative place in the city. And in this place there's like, we have carvers, we have people who paint, people who write, draw, sew.
When I first moved here, it was definitely the feeling of insignificance, how you could get lost in a crowd. No one would pay attention to who you are, what you wear, what you look like. Totally insignificant. Nowadays, it's the love, definitely. There are so many people full of love here and it really does radiate from every corner. Absolutely love the city.
I love all the little subcultures around Wellington. There's lots of different groups of people that you can find all over the place and they open you up into new things. Like there's always a hidden door somewhere out the back of Wellington, somewhere you'd never know about or hear about, say for this person you just happen to meet, you say, hey, come check this out, and you go on this little mission. And so there's always a secret back door. Yeah, you can always find a secret back door in Wellington.
As I took the ferry to the South Island, I reflected on my short time in Wellington. Very rarely does a place stand up to expectation. I'd heard Wellington was a cool, happening place, and it really is. Goodbye, fair city. Thank you for your openness. I arrive on the South Island, and the first thing I want to do is explore the Marlborough wine region. Many wine critics believe the Marlborough region produces the best Sauvignon Blanc in the world. A local winemaker explained to me why this is. He said, imagine putting a grapevine in a really harsh environment, intense sunshine and heat, coupled with freezing cold nights. Mix in some gale force winds and a meagre rainfall. The vine is hating it. It wants to escape this hell, so it produces the sweetest flavoured fruit it can, in the hope that a bird will eat this grape and take the seed somewhere else. I wanted to do a story on a local winery. I found 3 award-winning wines that all tasted a treat, and in the end narrowed down my search to Yealands estate. Not only because their wines were fantastic, but also because they are the world's most sustainable winery. I was also keen to meet Peter Yealands, a man renowned in New Zealand for having a golden touch when it comes to business. Looking more like an ageing rock star than a maverick millionaire, I instantly warmed to his down-to-earth attitude.
I hear people come in and they tell me about all the different flavours they get out of this. Wet stone, sweaty armpits, gooseberry, asparagus, you name it. I've heard it all. And, you know, in all honesty, I don't know what they're talking about, but I agree. I haven't been in the wine industry very long, but I do know what I like, and this is absolutely terrific. It's beautiful. It's a bloody good drop.
Spending an afternoon with Peter was quite inspirational. He thinks differently. When looking at a problem, he doesn't entertain why it can't be done, as a lot of us do, feeding on the negative. He only looks for solutions. The recent global financial crisis caused a huge drop in the price paid for wine. Many wineries tried to cut spending to ride out the storm. But Peter saw this as an opportunity. When others were cutting staff numbers, he decided to headhunt the finest wine marketing people in the world. He then went about expanding his market, being the first New Zealand winery to enter South America. To add icing to the cake, Yealands estate then took out an award for the best Sauv Blanc in the whole of the continent. Peter was one of the first to plant vines in the Awatere Valley sub-region of Marlborough. This fast-growing wine region was first believed to be unsuitable for vineyards due to extreme strong winds and because it has no water table, thus meaning all vines must be drip-fed to survive.
Okay, well this is about as high as we go on Yealands estate. We're just under 200 metres here above sea level. I'm standing in the middle or to the edge of one of our more recently planted Sauvignon Blanc vineyards. These plants here are really battling. As you see, it's windy. Plants take about twice as long to grow up here as they do down on the more sheltered gullies. The topsoil is very thin here, these plants really battle. But this is where we get our more premium fruit. The berries are very small. They have thick skins. They are delicious, and you know, to give you an idea, perhaps if you grow grapes at home, the edible ones, those little wee small ones that you get, they're the ones that are really yummy. Well, all the berries up here are small, so we get our reserve and air estate product from on the likes of this.
Peter introduced the use of GPS technology to plant vines along the undulating landscape of the Awatere Valley. But more importantly, he has set out to become the world's most sustainable winery. The gigantic 1,000 hectare vineyard is carbon zero accredited and is aiming to generate all its own power, using sustainable methods such as wind and solar. Once again, Peter's practical nature seems to shine through in some of the eco-initiatives. They use a special breed of small sheep to eat grass between the vine rows instead of using machinery for mowing. They bale the yearly vine prunings, burning them in special boilers to provide the high-end hot water needed for fermenting wine and thus reducing the need for LPG gas. And most exciting of all, they are developing a biodegradable plastic bottle, which if it comes through will make huge changes to environmental waste problems.
PET is made from a petroleum product, and we're very aware of that. And what we're doing is we're actually working on a product called PLA, which is an organic plastic product, and we've been doing it for some time, and probably within the year we are hoping to have the first organic plastic wine bottle. Now this is going to revolutionise consumption. PET, whilst it's a good product to recycle, it takes 1,000 years to break down in the environment. The PLA can disappear in a compost heap within 30 days. So all I can say here is watch this space.
Peter may well be one of the most successful businessmen in New Zealand, but you get the feeling he doesn't do it for the money, but for the challenge of achieving what others say can't be done. As a small business owner myself, I asked Peter if he could give me some tips on how to be successful in business.
Just with regard to doing business, I've got a father who's 90, he's still alive, and he taught a lot of things to me. Dad is a grocer, and I was brought up in that grocery shop being taught that the customer's always right. A lot of sons don't listen to their dads, and I've probably passed a lot of good stuff by, but there's some things that he's taught me, and of those there's three that really stand out. And one of them was never be too shy about borrowing money. Borrow sensibly, but you'll never get anywhere if you have to do it out of your own earnings. Imagine trying to buy your first house out of your own earnings, you wouldn't do it. So that was about borrowing money. The other one was about delegation. Unless you're prepared to delegate, you'll be very limited as to what you could do. Took me a long time to learn, but now that I've learned, I should have done it a lot earlier. And of course the other thing was never be scared to employ people who are better than you at things. And that's a bit scary. Often you like to be king of the castle, but I've learned to employ good people, and I've found that once you get one or two, others want to come. And I think that's been a great part of my success, the team of people that I have around me.
Well, I'm currently at Nelson. You can see the harbour behind me, and it's a lovely little part of New Zealand. You've sort of got shelter from both sides, so it cuts out all the bad weather, so you usually get some great weather here. I've only got one day in the region, and there's two things I want to do today. I want to check out the Abel Tasman National Park, and I want to check out the hippie town of Takaka. So I've got a really big day. I haven't got a car. I'm just going to try and hitch and just see what comes up. So let's do it. Wet and miserable day. We have managed to get a ride to Takaka. Got a ride with Robert, who's driving a delivery truck, delivering mainly frozen goods. Is that right, Robert?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I will be getting to Takaka, and I mean Lee was a great guy. It's raining at the moment, and he actually gave me a raincoat. So he's given me this raincoat. Just fantastic.
In the 70s there was a lot of cheap land here, dairy farming. I guess the hippies moved in.
You'd have a fairly radical alternative group moved in earlier on, and then people looking for lifestyle changes, come, and ultimately we're getting, serious survivalists, people looking for a way to own a piece of land and live on it completely. And that's been one of the shifts in the farming concept, where we're no longer trying to farm 200 acres, we're just trying to live off of 10.
Well, half of the challenge has been done. I managed to get to Takaka. I even managed to get myself a rain jacket, so I'm looking fantastic. But now I'm trying to get out to Abel Tasman National Park. It's a 40-minute trip, each way, so I'm really going to be cutting it fine, but hopefully we will get a ride and get back to Nelson tonight. Alright, so I've actually made it to the edge of Abel Tasman National Park. So behind me is Wainui Bay. So I made it in one day. I had 1 day in the area. As I said, it's the first day it's rained in 4 weeks. But that's the fun of travelling. So what I wanted to do today was to make it a challenge. And I think in this day and age, there's this fear of the other. There's fear of other people. And when you hitchhike, you see that in people's faces. People go past you and they look at you like, who's this crazy guy in the big hat? And the people who do pick you up, you know, they haven't got that fear, and you meet some great people, great conversations. And so I think, you know, one of the things for me, travelling is about letting go of that fear of the other and being open to meeting new people. And that's you know, today we haven't seen, you know, the Abel Tasman National Park at its best. We've seen a different mood. We haven't seen the picture perfect turquoise water and the golden beaches, and I won't even get any further than this, but there's a lesson today in how to travel, and it's about meeting the locals. So check the view. So I've shown you the Golden Bay Nelson area on a wet day. On a clear day, it's hard to beat. Beaches, forests, mountains and rivers, all in a temperate microclimate. What tourism brochures don't capture is community spirit. It took 6 different rides for this cat in the hat to explore the district by thumb, and there's not many places left in the world where that can be done. I take a bus from Nelson down the west coast to Queenstown. Many Kiwis told me the West Coast ride is the country's most scenic. As the bus winds down the road to Queenstown, I wonder how this place, in the arse end of the world, became an adventure tourism hotspot. If there is something you want to try for the first time, there's a fair chance you can do it in Queenstown. It's also a party town. The tourist operators rely on cheap foreign labour to run their businesses, which in turn means backpackers flock to the place. First night I stay with couch surfers, Flory from France and Sean from Israel. Next night I move closer to the action and decide that if I'm to truly get a good story out of Queenstown, I must change my method. So no more gimmicks like the porn mo, and interviewing people on the street just ain't gonna cut it.
Fucking welcome to Queenstown, it's the fucking best place in the world. Fucking look at that. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe we'll cut the effing every second word.
Can't swear.
You don't talk about Queenstown, you do Queenstown. So if Queenstown was a person, I think it would be a teenager. And like a teenager, some things you got to try for the first time. So I think this is the best way to see Queenstown. To just be like a teenager, young at heart. To be open to doing crazy stuff you've never done before. to stay up all night and then just laze around all the next day. Enjoy! I next visit Christchurch, which in recent times has been hit by several earthquakes. I arrived just after the September 4th, 2010 quake. Much of the CBD was still showing signs of damage. Since then, the city has suffered 2 more quakes, the February 22nd, 2011 quake being the most deadly. This quake unfortunately claimed 181 lives. It has been reported that 1/3 of all buildings in the CBD will have to be demolished. Since filming, the iconic Christchurch Cathedral has also suffered extensive damage, including the loss of its spiral. To understand the significance of the cathedral, one must delve back into Christchurch's interesting history. Christchurch was founded as a planned Church of England religious settlement. In 1850, 4 boatloads of pilgrims arrived with aspirations of creating a city built around a central cathedral and college. It seems the pilgrims wanted to create a little piece of England in Christchurch. Down by the Avon River, one can find oaks and chestnuts, and even partake in the very English pursuit of punting. My punter happened to be an English gap year student. I asked him what he found to be the main differences between Christchurch and Mother England.
The main difference really is the people here, because in England everyone's very grumpy, everyone's always moaning about something, either the weather, what have you, like that. Everyone here is quite chirpy and very friendly here. It's a really nice place to be. I really enjoy it.
I was in Christchurch on a Wednesday night and wanted to check out the nightlife. I happened to find a venue that was running a burlesque competition. Being a bit cheeky, I thought what better way to explore a city founded on Puritan religious values than to feature tassels and lingerie.
Christchurch has got this wicked little underbelly sort of scene going on that the surface of Christchurch has no idea about, and it's amazing. A lot of the events aren't advertised as well as they could be, and if you keep your ear to the ground, you'll hear of some awesome stuff. I used to dance a lot as a kid, did jazz dancing and whatnot, and as an adult, beyond paying for classes every week, there's not a lot of options as to keep performing, so this for me is carrying on that childhood in a way, and to just keep performing for people. I love it.
There's a lot of respect that comes from the audience when you deliver good timing and a good character and a good act. The audience stop and they watch. It's a real visual feast for them. So just commanding that much control over the audience, I guess, and asking for that much respect at once, you do get quite a power kick out of it. And also it's a little bit of imagination where you find an inner character comes out, whatever grabs your attention as to why you're interested in burlesque in the first place, whether it's the music of the era or some sort of style or costuming or just the etiquette of really being a lady and taking your time and making it sensual and adoring the female form in a really positive way. And we have women of all sizes and shapes. It's just open to everyone, and we're really finding that we can pump up the confidence of the girls, especially in our classes. Yeah, they do amazing things once they leave.
I never really understood burlesque, but after watching the show and seeing most of the audience was female, I realised a lot of the performer-audience interaction is about claiming back female sensuality. I imagine there's a lot of body image pressure placed on women by society. the whole idea of what is considered beautiful. And what I saw tonight was women feeling comfortable enough in their own skin to perform a fun, sultry dance that, unlike conventional stripping, has nothing to do with being naked for men. So I suppose burlesque is a lot like travel. It's not about the destination, but the journey itself. Not about the flash of flesh at the end, but more about taking your time to enjoy each stage. On that note, my journey has come to an end. Adios, pilgrims.